Hey guys, this is the Millennium Beat with your host Kevin James. Today I have in the studio Alondra. Alondra, thanks for coming.
It's my pleasure.
That's good. Now I kind of been mentioning you a little bit, getting you going, so you're going to start your own podcast. We'll talk about that on the next show. Today's show, we want to talk about a little bit about your life, where you came from, and maybe some of your goals of where you want to go, and what Christ has done in your life, and what your point of your journey. Let's walk through your journey. So I always tell people, I always say again, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, cool. Now, let's start off at the very, very beginning. Tell me your story, where you started from.
Well, I've kind of always been in church. My family kind of grew up that way. I am from Florida. I was born in Florida.
So you're a true Floridian.
I am a true Floridian. I am Puerto Rican, though. So my parents are Puerto Rican, and I lived like my first 2 years of my life in Puerto Rico.
Okay. So you were born here, but then you moved there.
We moved there, and then my parents did get divorced. So with my mommy, I flew back over here.
Okay.
And I was raised over here, and I would just visit to go see my
over in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I've known a lot of people from Puerto Rico. I just never have been there.
You have to go.
I know.
It's beautiful.
I want to be able to, on our wall here, do a pin for Puerto Rico. Whether we do it in person or we do it on the phone.
We can make it happen.
Either we can make it happen. So, yeah, that's cool. So, all right. So you were born here, but then you lived over there. Mm-hmm. Then you moved back here again.
Yeah. So I was raised here pretty much, and I would just visit my family. Up until I started school, and it was just summers and holidays that I would go over there to visit them.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'm from here.
Okay.
And my mom did remarry on this side, so I was raised by them over here, and I would just visit my father, and he also remarried. So I have a sister on my father's side and another brother, and then I have a brother on my mom's side.
Oh.
Yes, so I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest. Wow.
I am the smallest, but the oldest.
Hey, they say, good things come in small packages. So that's really cool. So, well, you also, they don't know this because they don't know you yet, but you have a very good voice for singing.
Thanks.
So when did you start singing?
I would sing all the time when I was little.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And then my mom always sang, and my father sang professionally.
Okay.
So
you get it in your blood then?
It's in my blood.
It's in your blood.
Yes, it is. My uncle sings, my cousin sing.
Oh, wow. I wish I had that family heritage, but I can sing, but I know when I cannot sing.
You can hold the tune, you got it.
Yeah, that's the thing, holding the tune. It's easier to hold a bucket than it is a tune.
That's funny. I've never heard that.
So you've been singing since you probably came out of your mom's womb that you were. Yeah. You started crying. You started singing.
And one day she was practicing for some type of church event, I think it was, and she had the leader of that choir, that group, at the house, and she was a family friend at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember she was singing a really pretty song, and she had taken a break, and so I just jokingly went over there, and I was like, "Oh, I want to sing it," and I just sang it, and the lady, her friend, heard me sing, and then ran and grabbed my mom and was like, "Did you know that your daughter sings like this?" And I was in shock, kind of, because I just was
right.
What? I just picked up a mic. What you talking about? I just like to sing. That was when kind of everyone in my family kind of took it a little more seriously, because they were like, "No, let's let her sing. Let's see what she can kind of do. Let's push her a little bit." So I joined at the time. My after school daycare had a little group, a little kids choir kind of thing going on.
Okay.
So I joined that, and I started singing with them, and they would let me just during our daycare time, or not daycare time, but after school, because I was in fourth grade, I want to say.
Okay.
Or fifth grade. And they had these little talent shows sometimes, and the kids would go up on stage and sing songs, and so I would do that. But I was so afraid of singing in front of anyone.
Okay.
It was, So that, I had the biggest stage fright.
Now, this question just came into my head. Well, you were one of those things that put your teddy bears all in a row and you sang to them?
Sometimes I should. Sometimes.
You
I
know,
had to practice.
practice somewhere, you have, I mean, I hear a lot of preachers, people that are going to be preachers will preach to corn stalks and they will pray to, the animals in the field or something like that.
I've seen the videos of the kids baptizing their
Yeah.
stuffed animals.
Stuffed animals, because that's in their blood, that they want to preach. You wanted to sing.
Yeah.
So
I did. I want to sing. I would walk around telling people when they would ask me what I wanted to be. I remember this vividly. I was like, I want to be a Christian singer. I want to be a Christian singer.
Because you were brought up right from the get-go as a Christian. Yeah. So so basically you accepted Christ. How early were you? I mean, because you weren't born a Christian. You were born. You had to become a Christian. Then you became a Christian. How old were you?
I was brought up in the church, meaning I would go to church with my parents. I knew God existed.
Right.
I knew that we went to church every Sunday because that's what we did, and we loved Jesus, and so that was the mentality of the house. And my mom was in choir, like in the church's choir group. We went to prayer groups on Fridays, that kind of thing. My grandma would teach me scriptures. I accepted Christ, I guess you could say, or I had that moment where I was like, oh, this is cool. What is this? There's more here.
Right.
I had one moment like that when I was 10 years old, and it was when my dad and my uncle were getting baptized.
Okay.
In our pool in the back. We were renting a house currently, and
Okay.
there was a pool. And I remember the one of the pastors at the church we were currently going to had come over to baptize them, and I saw them come out of the water, and I was like, I want whatever they have. So I got baptized.
Oh, that's cool. At an early age.
Like 10 years old.
Oh, that's cool.
But I didn't actually encounter the Lord until I was 18 or 19.
Okay. Now, this kind of question, sometimes with people that are brought up in Christianity, they don't know outside of the world. Did you stay the path your whole life up to now, or did you wander a little bit?
Oh, no. As a teenager, especially in these times.
Right.
Oh, yeah, no.
No.
That was a rough few years.
So what brought you, so you went off the beaten path. What brought you back on the path again?
I have to say that my parents and my family were they're very strict growing up. And they always have been. They still kind of are.
Oh.
Doesn't really change.
Doesn't change. You could be older.
Yeah, they never stop parenting. Mom doesn't stop being mom.
Nope.
I tell her that all the time. I was like, you never stop momming.
Yeah, that's right.
But
as long as they're alive, they'll be your mom. She will be.
Yeah. I remember when the parenting style, though, shifted from go to your room to I'm disappointed in you. And that started to take different tolls.
Right.
And I started to see how my actions started to affect everyone around me. And that's kind of what made me go, wait a second, what's going on? Like, why am I doing these things? This isn't me. I'm not happy. This is like causing so many emotions. And
right.
I was a bit of a train wreck because I was just emotionally making decisions and with friends and going out with my group of friends, or I like this boy and I want to talk to this boy and all these things. And I just didn't know why I was doing the things I was doing. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I was. So I was making a lot of decisions based off of trying to prove something to my parents or to myself. A lot of it was trying to prove to my dad that I was good enough where I could be the person that he thought I could and fix my own mistakes and all these things. But my naive self could not.
Could not. Nope.
So that's kind of what, yeah.
So what would you say to somebody that is going through that same situation? Because it seems like in the teenager years, your hormones going crazy, you're changing. As you said, you like boys like you, I mean, and then we put God a little bit on the side. What would you say to somebody that is going through that situation? Because they think they know it all and they don't need anything else. What would you say to them?
Being the oldest sister, I can say I watched my siblings go through that.
Did you? Okay. What was your advice to them?
A little bit.
I mean, not that they asked you, I'm sure. They go, hey, sis, what's.
Well, sometimes they did.
Okay.
If there's one thing that I love to do is I love to love.
Okay.
So
I thought you said I love giving advice.
Oh, no. I mean.
No.
I'm not a know-it-all. Like, I'm not Jesus.
But he lives inside you.
Amen.
So the Spirit is there. So okay. So you give your siblings some.
Yeah, I would. I would give them advice, but I would just kind of tell them. I mean, I'm very. What's going on?
Yeah.
What are we doing? What's going on? This isn't like you.
Right.
Um, you
And you could see it, I'm sure, because you went through it. Yeah. So,
exactly.
I mean, it's like an alcoholic or a drug person that can instantly see somebody else that's on
You see the
alcohol or drugs.
signs.
Because
You
you know,
see
because
the
you know it in
signs.
yourself.
And I would use myself as an example constantly.
Right.
I would never just pull something out of nowhere and go, yeah, because so and so did this, that, and the other, and that's what you should do. I would always use myself and go,
Right.
hey, remember when I went through this? Remember how I felt?
Mm-hmm.
Remember all the consequences that followed?
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of walking the same path. What are you doing?
Right.
But all three of them, I can say with 110% confidence, I think I was the most outlandish in. No, I just wanted, I'm just going to go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to try and go.
Mm-hmm.
And you could say that's like first child syndrome, like the
Yeah.
oldest syndrome.
Yeah, see, I was the baby, so I have no clue what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
'cause I was the baby and the spoiled baby, by the way. And it always happens when you're the last child. I don't know why it is, but people do it.
You're the baby.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. It's just it's not good. I see it in other people's lives, and I go, "You're not helping them at all by spoiling them."
In some cases.
Oh yeah, it's hard to learn. It's when you grow up spoiled, and then yeah, there is a balance and stuff like that. So you basically, so you were kind of a little off the beaten path. What time period in your life did you start going back to things like it was before you went off the path?
Well,
Was it high school?
it was high school.
Oh, so it was in high
school. So everything kind of started when I started my junior year.
Okay.
And in my junior year, freedom can be dangerous if you're not ready for it.
Right.
And that's kind of what happened. It hit me really hard because my parents really not secluded me. They just kept me in a safety bubble.
Right.
So when I started to experience things like a job,
Right.
and I was working and I was in school, when I worked, it was just such a completely different atmosphere
Right.
than what I've been used to, which is family and home, and only certain friends could come over, and I didn't know why, but these were the rules, and I didn't have that freedom of choice or freedom to say no or freedom to be like, no, this is what I want. I never kind of felt that way in my home. So, which isn't to say anything negative. It's just
No, it's just because you got two types of home. Like my home, it wasn't very, far as I could remember, wasn't very disciplined. I mean, I could do whatever I wanted, pretty much. I don't know about my other brothers and sisters, but at least with me, I wish they would have been a little bit more disciplined. Like, hey, you can't do this, and that would have helped dealing with being spoiled and all that kind of stuff. You can't get your way. I mean, because we do that. The older we get, even with God, we say, "Why isn't this happening? This should be happening."
Yeah, we do.
And say, "I want this to happen," and it doesn't. And God, because God knows all, He sees all, and sometimes we don't get what we want. And if you're spoiled, you want it, you want it.
Yeah.
And God is saying, no, if I gave that to you, you'd probably be dead.
It's true.
I mean, it's not good for you. And I have a better plan for you. So, there's a balance. There's a be strict and then not strict. So there's a middle ground.
I agree.
And it depends on parents. We're not blaming parents. It all depends on how they were brought up. If
Exactly.
Because always the old statement is, I'm not going to grow up to be what my father was like or what my mother was like, because you see their flaws and you say, I'm not going to do that. You ever see the movie Jumanji?
Yeah.
The scene that I liked in the movie, there's two scenes. When Robert Williams was a boy in the movie, he wasn't him as an actor, but it was a boy playing him. His father was mean to him, and he scolded him, and then he ran off and stuff like that. And then later on, they went into the game, and Robin Williams came out of the game, and he was scolding that little boy, Peter, I think his name was, and he was scolding him for something. And then he realized, he goes, 30 years I've been in the jungle, and I still became my father. Because he realized he was acting like his father was acting. It was embedded in him, even though he's been in the jungle for 30 years. So sometimes, as I said, we act like our parents, even if we don't want to.
Well, I mean, it's what you were raised around. It's a subconscious thing to a point,
Right.
But In my household, it was very disciplined, and that's something that which is beautiful now. It's a blessing now because we all talk about it now, like openly. My dad and I will have conversations openly. My mom and I will have conversations about things that I remember as a kid or things that they did as a parent. And being the oldest, though, and I will say this for anybody that's the firstborn,
Right.
you have to come to your parents with grace
Right.
because you're the first.
Right.
They didn't know how to be parents before you. It's
Right.
their first time. It's gonna be their first time for the rest of your life because you're the first. So there's such a grace that I have for them now, and that's attributed to just what the Lord has shown me about their hearts and about what the father-daughter relationship should look like,
Okay.
which is cool. But
Oh, that's cool. So, okay, moving on from high school, that what you said was starting about junior year. So what was happening a little bit like your senior year? What was senior year like?
senior year was hectic because of all the tribulations and things that I went through. My junior year and all the poor decisions that I made, my grades were tanking, my job was just consuming me because I was doing well there, and I just liked the idea of making money and having my freedom and all these
Right.
things. I then got things taken away at that point. Now my parents were like, all right, you're making poor decisions, your grades are suffering. And I was an A, well, not straight A, but A, maybe a couple B's
Right.
kind of student, AP classes. And my dad was like, what's going on? Like, you don't ever get a D. I
Right.
had failed one of my classes.
Wow.
So he was like, you never get a D. I see a D. I see a C. What's going on? So he cut that off, and then I had started dual enrollment. So there was just a lot of different things going on, and they kind of realized that they needed to rein me back in. So that's what they did my senior year.
Okay.
And my senior year, although it was almost as if I was in timeout pretty much my whole senior year.
Okay.
And I don't say that because they punished me that way mentally. I
Right.
still didn't know who I was. My dad was trying to kind of like guide me into decision making and how we make decisions not via emotion.
Right.
I was book smart. I wasn't street smart. So when it came to just relationships, friendships, and things, I navigated it differently because I just wanted to let everybody in all the time and love everybody all the time. And you just can't.
That won't work.
You can't do that all the
Nope.
time with everybody, especially.
Well,
in
I think you're
school.
going from emotional decision making to logical or maturity, becoming an adult, because you're now in the senior year, so things are a little bit different. You see things differently than you do as an emotional teenager.
Yeah.
You're becoming into your latter part of teens, getting stuff like that.
The Lord humbled me that year for sure, because I was getting a little prideful with how academically inclined I was and my job and all these things. And the Lord was like, You feel
Now,
like
were you doing any type of singing during that time period?
I
Choir? Or...
not choir. I was taking a guitar class.
Okay, I was going to ask you that. Do you play like my friend Katie? She plays guitar. I mean, I don't think she plays the guitar, but the violin and all that kind of stuff. So you were playing the guitar?
Yeah, I was playing the guitar.
You
but
still
I
play it
kinda
now?
don't know. I do.
Oh, okay.
I do.
Oh, good. Maybe you can. I actually have to go into Branson, and I was made fun of that. Not really bad, but I was complaining that I couldn't strum really well, and it says. He told me a story about a guy that plays with his feet. He says, yeah, because he has no hands, so he plays the guitar.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
I don't know who he is, and I said, okay. So I played the guitar for a little bit when I was 18. Then I played a little bit more when I was 30, and I'm thinking about. So I'm looking at right now picking up a guitar. I had a guitar. I sold it, so now I got to pick up another one. But I really want to start playing again. And I just got to force myself and discipline to keep doing it. So,
Honestly,
so you
yeah.
play that. So that's good. So I now have somebody. So you can pay me back for mentoring you. You can mentor me in the guitar. Because basically all I'm going to do is just take the chords and just practice the chords.
I'm no professional by any means. I just know basics.
Yeah.
Because even Mike here at Identity,
Right.
he's been is willing to teach me more.
Okay.
But I know the basics.
Yeah, it's again, this is a discipline. It's like what good is you buy a guitar and it sits in the closet or sits in the corner. So any other instrument beside the guitar you play or just that?
Piano.
for you. See, I played that too when I was 18 for a couple of days, and I can still remember the chords that I learned when I was 18.
That's cool.
But in the practice of the riff and stuff like that. But again, it's like drumming. I have coordination in the keyboard. You have your right hand doing something and your left hand doing something. And it's like my brain doesn't. It's like the drums. You get your foot doing something, you get your other foot doing something, your hands are doing your left hand. It's just too much. I mean, the thing with the strumming was interesting because it's just not an up and down. Yeah. I mean, it can be.
It can be.
But then it can also be an up, half three, pick.
Or pick.
Yeah, so it's and then listen to a song. Are you what do you call the words, the lyrics, and what are they called? The notes and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, reading the
or
sheet music.
Reading sheet music, or are you one by ear?
I've done both. The sheet music, I'm a little rusty on just because I haven't done that in a little while.
Mm-hmm.
But with the piano, it's easier for me to hear it and then go, okay, I think I know what chords are.
See, that is the cool talent. Like I know Tristan with the drums and stuff like that will hear a song and he can play it. And I send him some videos when I get off of TikTok that like these 3-year-old, 4-year-old little boys are playing drums and they're going like crazy. I mean, I wish I had that God-given talent, that I could hear a song and just start playing it. It's like you instantly know what notes they're playing, what they're doing, and I have to know it goes from C to A, C to D or A or back.
I mean, that's fundamental and foundational to me. Like I still have to do that. I still have to look stuff up all the time.
Do you?
Mm-hmm. Because when I'm learning songs, I struggle with bar chords, which are the ones that you just kind of put your whole finger on the neck of the guitar, and it's because of how tiny my hands are. You have to build the muscles and the calluses back up. So
oh yes, and then there's also what do they call that device that it's got the neck of the guitar and they put it on it, and then is that what it's called?
Yeah, and it holds it down for you.
So I've never got that far in my lessons because I know that I've seen people do it. It changes the sound of the guitar.
Oh, it helps because if you can do things in an entire different key, and then you just kind of shift your fingers up and down.
Yeah, so that's a whole interest. So you did that during high school, or play the guitar a little bit?
I did play the guitar a little bit. I joined my school's ensemble group for a little bit.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I only did the cymbals and the French horn in junior high. I took the French horn home over the weekend and got better, but I didn't play it long.
Oh.
As I said, the longest instrument I've ever played is the guitar, because I played it a little at 18, put it down. Same with the keyboard. But when I was 30, I picked it up for a few months. I don't remember how long I took lessons for, but I do remember doing it. And then
just learn songs.
Yeah,
just learn songs. That's how I learned.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. So, and again, I have to force myself. But life changes. It's easy to make excuses.
That's true.
Because we get older, we get responsibility. We got to pay the bills, car payments, rent, whatever. Yeah. And then like I could say, I could have done this 7 years ago when I was at the TV station, and I had 6-7 hours a week of doing nothing, and that would have been good to practice. And now I don't work at the TV station anymore. So I guess it's the same thing what you say, like with reading scriptures or doing stuff like that, because it's discipline, and I've been finding this out praying for people. It's like you're praying for someone every single day. You have to, whether you feel like it or not, because you feel led. You call someone, God is giving you a charge, somebody to pray for. And it's your responsibility because God has given it to you. So it's your job in a sense. And
it's your job to take it seriously.
Yeah, and it's different. I mean, especially if you've grown up selfish, or spoiled.
Sure.
It's like it's different because you say, okay, I'm giving up something of my life for you that I'm praying for, that I'm not getting anything back from it. Yeah. I mean, but it's not. So it goes. You have to go to the point that you're not selfish anymore because you're more concerned about their welfare, their lifestyle. I mean, what's going on in their lives, the protection of them, and making the right decisions. And nothing possibly is going to benefit you. It's all going to benefit them. And it's as I said, when you grow up selfish and spoiled, that's difficult.
It's a mentality you have to break.
Yeah, it really is. So, okay, so you basically graduated high school here in Florida.
Hmm.
All right. So, what happened after high school?
That's when God kind of did a whole 180. So, I was all set to go to college. I was going to move in with my uncle that lived in Orlando, and he was going to get me set up with this internship at his hospital, and I was going to study medicine. It was going to be this whole thing. I was
Okay.
excited. And then the Lord just started to move and shake some stuff in my life.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a span of like 3 months, I want to say. So I graduated in May, and then that whole summer,
Mm-hmm.
I remember I was dating a boy, and the Lord started to just speak to me in little ways. And he started with my dad. He used my dad.
Okay.
And my dad would just come to me and have these conversations with me. And granted, I wasn't in school anymore, so it was just a completely different lifestyle that I was kind of adjusting to,
Right.
having to get up and go and go, go, go. So my dad got me on this regimen because he's a trainer,
Mm-hmm.
physical trainer or personal trainer kind
Right.
of thing. So he got me on a regimen, and via the regimen, my mentality just started to shift. And he and I spent a lot more quality time together, and I just
Okay.
started to ask more profound questions of
Right.
myself and ask of myself just different things and reflect a lot. And that's when the Lord just started to touch me in different ways and
Mm-hmm.
and shift some stuff. Then crazy things started to happen with my school. And my dad asked me one really big question that just kind of shifted everything. And he asked if I'd ever prayed about going to college.
Okay.
And I was like, what?
Hmm.
Everybody goes
That's
to
a
college.
weird concept. Praying.
Yeah. I'm like, praying about college? Of course God wants you to go to college.
Right.
And he was like, Alondra, like, not everybody goes to school,
Right.
you know? He's like, did you ask? And I was like, no, actually, I didn't. And he goes, you should ask.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's why things aren't working out. I was like,
Okay.
okay. Well, I asked
And
got
we
an answer.
got answered. That's funny. You ask and he answers.
Yeah, and he just didn't. He said no, basically. He said no, not yet, and in a really crazy way because I would go. At first, I thought it was no to just going to that particular school,
Mm-hmm.
and then I tried applying to different schools, and every time I tried applying, the Holy Spirit was like, "No,
No.
what are you doing? What are you doing?" And he'd pull me and pull me and pull me. I felt tugs and tugs. And then one day or one night in my room, I was having kind of an emotional night, and my brother was just irritating me, and I was trying not to fight with him.
Right.
So I went in my room and I closed the door and I just was listening to worship music. And my dad comes into my room and he goes, I'm proud of you for not arguing with your brother
Right.
and for, going to worship instead of arguing.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, but what's going on here? There's more here. And he stayed silent. And as he stayed silent, I closed my eyes and I, for the first time in my whole life, heard his voice.
Mm.
And that changed everything.
Right.
And he spoke to me and he said, I need you to give me everything. I need you to give me your mind. I need you to give me your heart. And specifically to me, he said, I need you to give me your intelligence. But it was because my biggest fear was wasting
Mm-hmm.
what I thought I was capable of or my potential
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to make my parents proud.
Right. Most people do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, no, I have to make something of myself. They worked so hard to get here. They worked because my parents came from nothing.
Right.
They struggled pretty much all their childhood. So I wanted to be that for them. And the Lord just pressed on my heart and kept pressing and pressing and pressing. And his voice filled my entire, like, it consumes.
Right.
So I had that moment with him and I was weeping. And then I looked up and I opened my eyes and my dad is just standing in front of my bed, leaning up against my wall because there's a little bit of a space.
Right.
A little bit of a past, like, walkway.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at him and he's just smirking at me. And I'm like, why are you smirking? He goes, because I know what's happening. The Lord told me to be quiet. And I was like, that's nuts. But I looked at my dad and I was like, he's real.
Right.
He just spoke. Like, I heard his voice. This is nuts. But that's where everything kind of took off. Everything changed. Then it was, I need to know more.
Mm-hmm.
I need to spend time with you. I need to be in the Word. And that changed the trajectory of my whole life. I shifted everything. I knew I needed to end the relationship with the boy. I knew I wasn't supposed to be in school for a specific reason. That's when I started to come to Identity Church.
Okay.
And then everyone here started to prophesy to me about, do you sing? The Lord wants you singing.
Right.
So it changed everything.
I don't remember, because I've only been here since 2016, so I do remember seeing you, and you were a shy little girl, and you in the back, but I could tell that you had a voice. There's no doubt about it. And I knew that you were a singer, and you just weren't projecting. You're kind of sitting back in the background. And that was, well, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago. So, and now, not jumping the story, but now you're back and you're doing stuff. And then I hear today that you're going to be back here at Identity Church every first Sunday of the month, you and your mom.
Yep.
Now, I hear your new nickname is Little Liz.
Liz Jr.
Liz Jr. Okay. Liz Jr. So, yeah, that's cool. So that's, it's so you had a plan, but God had another plan.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
and I know everyone thinks it's cliche.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks it's cliche until it happens to them. Mm-hmm. And it really is, it's the truth.
So you really, now that you have known that, do you really feel that you're in exactly where God wants you to be and what He wants you doing?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
It's a good feeling, isn't it?
It is. It's kind of, you can't beat it.
Yeah.
When you're within His will.
Oh, that's cool. That is good. So, we basically talked a little bit about your life and how you get up to the point right now. So, we've been talking for, I don't know, about 30 minutes. This is usually what my shows are usually at. So, we're going to have you back, but the next time we'll give them a little clue is you're working on what I'm mentoring you on is you're starting your own podcast, and I'm helping you with that. And what's the name of the podcast?
Groomed for Greatness.
Groomed for Greatness. Okay. So next time we're going to pick up where we left off, and we're going to talk about that and some of the places people can find it and know what the purpose of what God has put in your heart and what we're going to do with that. So that's pretty cool. So, hey, everybody, you've been watching The Millennium Beat with your host, Kevin James. I've been here with Alondra. Thank you for coming and being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, it's cool. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again. And actually, before you come back again, we're going to have you do an interview with one of our people that I'm friends with and here in the church. And that's going to be a great interview. So it's going to be on my channel and stuff like that. So everybody else, thanks for joining, and we'll see you again. Just remember, we like to encourage the world one story at a time. Okay. If you would like to partner with us to reach the world, go to our website for more information. You can go to themillenniumbeat.com or tmb2000.net. Your financial support is greatly appreciated. We couldn't do all we do without your support. Check us out on social media, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and TikTok at The Millennium Beat, or on Twitter at Millennium_Beat. This has been a Millennium Beat LLC production. Views and opinions of the guest are not always the views and opinions of the Millennium Beat LLC.